What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Yugioh OCG TCG video. Today, guys, we are going to be discussing the new Numeralia support that is set to release in the upcoming main core set, Duelist Nexus. Very excited to be discussing this new support with you guys, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. So the first card that we're going to be discussing for this new support is Numeralia Realizer, the Dream Materializer Sleeping Princess, a level 10 Light Fairy effect monster with 1500 attack and 3000 defense, and you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can target one monster you control, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon this card. Its second effect, if this card is special summon, you can activate one of these effects, add one Dreaming Numeralia from your deck to your extra deck face up, or change one other face up monster on the field to face down defense position, and its third effect gains 100 attack for each face down card in your extra deck. So this card, I'm not gonna lie, isn't really that great. The only reason you would be using this card is for the first part of its second effect, where you're able to add a Dreaming Numeralia from your deck and placing it into your face up extra deck, which is the whole first step when it comes to this deck, is getting that monster into your extra deck, and then you're able to really go into your bigger plays with being able to get the big level 10 beast monsters of the archetype. So just being able to do that is pretty nice, but everything else I'm not really a huge fan of. For starters, the fact that this monster is a fairy type monster doesn't really make that much sense in the context of the archetype, because every other monster, including the other one we're going to be discussing in this video, are beast type monsters, which makes sense. The Sleeping Tower is a continuous spell in the archetype that allows you to add 2 level 10 beast type monsters from your deck to your hand. So the fact that this is not a beast type monster just is really confusing more than anything. I don't know why that's where they drew the line and said, hey, we're going to make this a fairy type so you can't search it off of that, which I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't really change much of the card, but it would have made it a guaranteed of getting that monster into your extra deck, so that would have been nice. Its summoning condition is fine. You have to have another monster on your field, so I guess you can just use your normal summon or even like a special summon effect, get a monster on the field, place it on the bottom of the deck, special summon this, and then add your Dreaming Numeralia. The second part of its second effect is also alright, just being able to place a monster in the face down defense position to get over it. I guess it's alright. And then the third effect literally doesn't mean anything. It's just a nice way to get a little extra boost in this monster, especially since it only has 1500 attack points. So overall, I think the card is alright. Again, I only feel like the reason you would be playing this card is to be able to add Dreaming Numeralia to get your combo started, but outside of that, this card doesn't really do that much, if I'm going to be completely honest. So overall, I just think it's a alright card for the archetype. So with that out of the way, let's get into our next monster, which is Numeralia's Dream Eater Reveal. I believe this is actually the first monster of this archetype that's a Dream Eater. I believe the other two beast monsters are Dream Defenders, so that's actually pretty interesting. It's a level 10 Dark Beast effect monster with 2500 attack and defense, and you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can banish 3 cards from your extra deck face down except Dreaming Numeralia. Special summon this card. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this, except Pendulum monsters. And you can send one other level 10 beast monster from your hand or face up field to the graveyard, set one Numeralia trap directly from your deck. Honestly, I can't really say anything in terms of the second effect of whether or not it's worth it or not, because the only trap card in the deck is actually a card we'll be discussing after this card. So I can't really say if that second effect is worth it, but I guess to be fair, you're being able to set that trap directly from your deck to your field, so I guess that's pretty nice. And then being able to special summon this card by banishing 3 cards from your extra deck face down, you know, it makes sense in the context of the archetype. The whole thing with the archetype is banishing a lot of your extra deck cards face down, so it makes sense for the context of this archetype, and that's 3 cards that you're able to banish, which is pretty nice. So overall, I do think this card is pretty cool, to say the least. I do think the extra deck restriction to only being able to summon Pendulum monsters, which does make sense, because I believe you also can special summon the Dreaming Numeralia. If I remember the archetype correctly, you are able to special summon that monster from your extra deck. So I guess in the context of that, it makes sense. And you don't really use the extra deck that often, so the restriction isn't really that crazy, but let's be honest, the deck can still play with the extra deck if we're gonna be completely honest, so that restriction does kind of suck a little bit, but I guess I can also understand it as well, because the archetype really isn't going to do it a whole lot. It can do it, and it will sometimes do that, but not all the time. So the restriction, although it does suck, it's not really that big of a deal, if I'm going to be completely honest. So overall, it's a cool card. I can see you playing this if the trap is worth it, and just be able to have another way of banishing cards from your extra deck face down. So overall, I think it's a pretty cool card. So with that being said, let's get into our final card of the video, and it's our only spell and trap of the video, and our only trap for the archetype as a whole, and that is Numeralia Love, a normal trap that reads you can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, special summon one Numeralia monster or one level 10 beast monster from your hand or deck in defense position, but return it to the hand during the end phase. Second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 100 attack and defense for each of your cards currently banished face down until the end of the turn. So this card is pretty cool. It's a way to be able to special summon any of your Numeralias directly from your hand or deck in defense position, and although they do return to your hand during the end phase, it really isn't that big of a deal. Honestly, the cool thing about this is that it doesn't really matter because the Numeralia beasts are very easy to special summon, which, let's be honest, are pretty much going to be the cards you're going to be searching off with this effect. So them returning in your hand, it's not really that big of a deal because they're pretty easy to special summon to your field, so it's not going to really matter. And then the second effect is alright. It basically allows you to deal a little bit more damage, and if you for some reason can't get over one of your opponent's monsters, this is just another way to be able to lower the attack points to get over the monster and maybe potentially deal a little bit more damage depending on the situation, which is pretty cool, not gonna lie. But again, nothing too crazy. Honestly, the only reason I say it's worth playing this card, which I do think it is, not only because of the fact that you can directly set this from your deck thanks to the Dream Eaters effect, but also it allows you to special summon one of your Numeralia beasts from your hand or deck, which is really cool. So overall, I do like this card. It does suck that it is a trap card, which does make it a little bit weaker, but I do see some worth in playing this card. I do think this is a really cool trap card for the archetype. And with that, guys, that is going to be it for this OCG TCG video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the new support. Overall, for me personally, I think it's alright. I don't think it's anything too crazy. I don't think this is really gonna break the deck or anything like that, but I can really see these cards being played. Although I will say though, it's a very big debate on the Dream Materializer. I don't really think that card is that worth playing. I can understand why, but I don't think it's really that great. But for the other two cards, I can see some uses for that. I really can. But overall, I don't think the support is that crazy for the archetype, but I do think it is some pretty cool support. But like I said, let me know your guys' thoughts on the new support down below, as well as your overall thoughts on the archetype based off of the two supports that we've had for this, because we did see the introduction of this archetype in the last main core set, which was Cyberstorm Axis. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the archetype as a whole now, including this new support. But with that being said, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, guys, take care and have yourselves a great rest of your day.